history of transportation, and sort of like Space Bird, except themed about transportation, but it had a comical sense to it. It was very much enjoyed by many people. The ride used an omnimover style system where the cars would always stay level even when it was going up or down. But in the Minecraft version, we're using a minecart and obvious tracks and plugins. So in Minecraft, this is a 3-car train, and the ride cars were specifically designed for this attraction. And I believe the man behind this attraction was Mark Davis, who was known for his comic type rides. He was the designer of the America Sings attraction in Disneyland, and the designer of Splash Mountain, and he was the man behind what would have been the Thunder Mesa complex at Magic Kingdom in Disney World, but that got canceled. Now here, we're spiraling up on the famous spiral that was the main entrance, and here we've got some view of construction wall. That is part of Innovations over there. And this is where we entered into the ride, right here, as we come into our first scene, which is cavemen who have been walking for a long time, are very tired, their feet are blistered, and they're fanning their feet. Over here. Every scene in this ride had some sort of comic gag in it, and I will be explaining those as we keep going. Now, this scene was the first type of boat, and here you've got a man resting, meanwhile we've got, I think, an alligator trying to eat him, I'm guessing. And over here, we've got land power using animals, showing a caravan in what looks like a desert. And this scene had an animal who was really tired and a man trying to push that load back onto him. Now in the next scene, which is coming up right here, we've got Persians, the invention of the wheel. There would be square and triangle wheel design, and then a man talking to him with the circle wooden wheel design. Now, and these are a bunch of wheels spinning in this group here. Now, as we keep going, we're going to come up on our next scene, which is Greece. Here we had a scene which indicates this family trying to buy an expensive chariot, which is up ahead. Got some Greek columns, Greek design here, and all sorts of stuff. Got a man right here, and then we've got the family right here trying to buy an expensive chariot, and with another man flirting with a woman. I recommend going to the YouTube channel martinsbits.net and looking up the World of Motion tribute that he's got. It tells you all about history, and it has a full ride through and explains all the scenes and everything you need to know. This here is a boat explorer with a sea monster. And here we've got the Mona Lisa, with the real Mona Lisa waiting impatiently. And then we've got Leonardo da Vinci and one of his servants trying a new flying machine. Then here we've got the first forms of flight. Hot air balloon flying over cityscape. then in the next scene, we've got, I'm trying to remember this scene. It was, oh yeah, this was, a steam carriage trying to go over a bridge, but a bowl is not letting them pass, and is trying to shove them back on the other side of the bridge. Once again, another comical scene. Very much beloved. Then in this scene, we're at a steamboat dock with people dancing on the steamboat.
Then here we've got the most classic scene, the most remembered scene, is the world's first traffic jam. And there's a police officer right there in a car, which is pretty cool. Then in this next scene, we've got a family picnicking at an air show as we get towards another form of transportation, the aeroplane, or as you think of today, the airplane. Then here in this scene, we've got a aviator with taking a picture in front of his airplane with a amazing lady fan. Then here we've got a bunch of cars from the 50s up to the 80s. Just married on that car. Then we've got some other cars here too, from the 50s to the 80s. Then over here, in the second to final scene, we've got what is considered a speed tunnel. Similar to the warp tunnel that's inside Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, we had one of those in here too, which basically showed a bunch of speedy stuff and a bunch of futuristic stuff too. Nothing too serious, but it was just basically something to fill in the void between the scene we just left and the final scene, which we'll be getting to really soon. We're almost to the final scene. For some reason, the minecart was moving a little slow, and this ride was actually closed at the beginning of the day due to technical difficulties. So, but some of the cast members got back up and working again. So, it's working fine. I remember when this ride was closed on this server and they were still working on it. Oh, here is the final scene, which basically shows a city in perpetual motion. Basically a blue futuristic city with a bunch of blue skyscrapers and a bunch of highways with cars constantly moving on them. It was a future in perpetual motion, and one that for a while we believed could become possible. But obviously hasn't, because we aren't driving a bunch of aerodynamic futuristic cars, are we? Instead, we're driving a bunch of SUVs. But hey, it was a good shot what the future might be, and it got everybody motivated too. Then we come upon the final scene, which for some reason they didn't recreate here, but I'll explain it anyway. Basically, it used the Pepper's Ghost effect, that like the Haunted Mansion, where as you went by, instead of being in your vehicle, you look through a window, and you'd be riding in a futuristic car of the future. Then here we come to the unload, right here, and the ride would loop around right here and loop around back to the entrance where you boarded the ride, and it would go through the whole process all over again. Oh, and plus you get cash for riding attractions. Okay, so right here we've got the symbol, which was the logo for World of Motion, which was discontinued when the original test track came, but was added back onto the trash cans in the loading area for the current test track, sponsored by Chevrolet, a division of General Motors. The future of transportation. This is where you went to go to the Trans Center, basically the post-show area, but obviously it's still getting worked on, except for these two little things here. I'll do a video about that later, when it opens. Instead of going through the post-show, we'll instead go through this exit, which if you went through this exit, you come upon these doors. These doors lead up to the VIP lounge, specifically for General Motors employees, former employees, and their family/friends, or anybody else that's invited up there. Then we come out to the exit. We come out back into the main atrium, back where we started. And there you go. We have World of Motion. Those windows up there are the VIP lounge windows that gave a great, really superb view of the park. So, thank you everybody for watching, and make sure to subscribe.